Welcome to day 8. You made it all the way to the final day. This is about over-delivering value. The first 7 days were about building your business. This one is about crushing the impact you have with your clients and their clients. Sherry.
Woo, our cause today, lovely little Einstein Preschool Foundation. They're changing the education paradigm, so you want to be a part of that. And our sponsor today, Tom, Membrant. Tell us more about Membrant.
Troy Broussard has created this amazing software from the ground up to allow you to use mobile learning and your own custom app to absolutely get better impact, influence, and income. Super excited to hear about this. We'll see his video coming up shortly. Plus, we have a bunch of speakers, including Troy today, sharing their wisdom on how do you over-deliver. How do you get amazing results for your clients all day long? You're going to love it. Some of the most, frankly, some of the wisest and most intelligent people we've had all summit long are on today. So good for you for sticking out to day 8. You'll see them coming up. And our final panel, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 Eastern, 90 minutes on over-delivering value. 5 awesome rock star entrepreneurs sharing their wisdom and knowledge with you today. And one more final, amazing, awesome keynote speaker, Sherry.
Woo, we're so honored again to feature Mr. Davin Michaels. And Tom and I have been able to be a part of what Davin's doing. So you guys, you want to stay tuned for this keynote. Davin is bringing the entrepreneurial world to a whole different place.
Hi, Troy Broussard here with Membrant.com. Sometimes you don't even notice the tides sneaking up on you. The tides of change in the marketing world, we're going through that exact same metamorphosis right now. Everybody's got one of these crazy little devices with them at all times. It never leaves their side. Mobile learning is here to stay, and it's growing faster than any other segment in the marketplace today. The stats do not lie. Every single stat out there shows the power of mobile apps today and how much more consumption and completion rates you get. But the most important is that 5+ hours of the day, your audience is on a cell phone. Yet only 34% of the market has adopted mobile learning. Ask yourself this question: are you designing for yesterday or tomorrow? Today's desktop-only solutions are quickly becoming the 8-track of tomorrow. Even Apple, a $1 trillion hardware company, is asking the question of what is a computer? What happens if you don't adapt quickly? Well, look what happened to Blockbuster. They didn't just miss out on nearly $20 billion in profits. Because of their failure to adapt, they went out of business. Membrant is more than just an app. In fact, Membrant is your app. It's not an app. We create yours and we deliver it in the Apple and Google stores under your company name with your brand integrated with every major platform there is. For more information, please go to membrant.com/do good so that your company doesn't suffer the same fate as Blockbuster. membrant.com/do good.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Tom Matson here for the Do Good and Make Money Super Summit. Day 8, you're a trooper. Way to go, you rock stars, just for showing up on day 8. You're already in that top 10% of the overachievers in the world, but then you probably know that by now. You're in for a treat. One of our most powerful, most impactful speakers of the entire summit, no pressure, Wendy, of the entire summit is about to share her wisdom with you. Fortunately, she's got 4 decades of knowledge and wisdom to stuff into this 45-minute period. So there's lots to choose from. We're super excited. We'll tell you more about her in a moment. But first, as always, introducing my co-host for the summit, the amazing Sherry Watson of The Power of Purpose. Sherry, good morning.
Oh, Tom, so great to be here. I've been so excited about this next speaker. Wendy, you guys, so you've been with us all 8 days. We don't have to introduce it. If you don't know us by now, you need to know us. Tom will take your business to 7 figures. We can set up the entities to bring more impact. Wendy, you're going to bring it all together for us for the 8 days. I'm so excited, Tom.
Thank you so much, Sherry. So today, just to make sure you're in the right spot, it's track 1, startup, although I will tell you, this information will apply to all 4 tracks wherever you are in your journey. Our speaker today is a 5-time best-selling author, internationally recognized authority on business acceleration through impact strategy and ethical influence. How's that for an ideal combination? She's built 10 multi-million-dollar businesses of her own and helped thousands of organizations build 7 to 10 figures of revenue by making a measurable difference in people's lives. She is presented to the U.S. Senate, serves as a trusted advisor to doctors, executives, entrepreneurs, and top influencers worldwide. Forbes magazine calls her strategies the secret to success in business. And Inc. describes her formula as your path to profitable success. Today, she will share how to reach millions, make millions, and love your life along the way. Let's meet President and CEO of Professional Impact, Wendy Lipton Dibner. Wendy, good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning, Sherry. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out 8 whole days. I've been having to wait this whole time to be with you, and now I'm excited to be with you. Let's go.
Fantastic. We're super excited. I know you got a ton of content to cover, and we can't wait to get to it. But for the context of our listeners, especially those in startup mode, let's just talk a little bit about how you and I got drawn together, because so many people buy programs or participate in programs and courses and don't complete. And you know the data better than everyone. 90% of the people don't complete the programs. Of the 10% that do, maybe 3 or 4% are getting actual results. So you're talking 3 or 4% results, 96, 97 not getting results. Your passion was committed to flip that around on its head and you pulled that off. So tell us how you got into that and a little bit about the context of that, because I think people can learn from that tremendously.
Sure, absolutely. So about 10 years ago, I was invited to speak for a group of authors. And in speaking to them, I noticed some very exciting stuff. One was, of course, they were all wanting to change the world with their books. They were wanting to bring their special knowledge to the world and really make a measurable difference in people's lives. And it was a perfect fit for me to be there. After the speech, I got invited to attend their celebration cocktail party. And my husband and I were going through the crowds and talking with all the people. And they started to share their stories with us one by one in whispered tones, because what they were sharing, they were actually embarrassed about. The long and short of it is what they were sharing was all of the money and the time that they had invested with no results. And I mean, we're talking, up to $300,000 in going to seminars, online courses, books. And if you're watching this, it's possible that you're one of those people, right? And so the first thing, please no, don't be embarrassed about this. The results that I'm going to share with you today are going to explain a lot about why this happens, but here's the shortcut. After talking all night long with these people, my husband and I got back in the car. We drove all the way home, and the whole time I'm crying. And I said, we can't do this, because in my corporate work and in my work with healthcare and in my work with the nonprofits, Sherry, and of course in my work with small businesses, 93% of my trainees were actually out there doing what I taught them to do. So the person who hosted this seminar that I spoke at, to his credit, brought me in to speak to them again. And he said that less than 2% of his attendees had ever implemented. And so we got together to see if we could change that. But the challenge was, he was the one running the program, not me. And he didn't run it in the ways that I had run it. So I decided to do a research study. And I'm a social researcher by training, so I geek out at this kind of stuff. And that research actually lasted 10 years. I spoke personally with well over 5,000 entrepreneurs, and it was duplicated over and over again, that each had done an amazing amount of work, but had never quite reached what they had been promised they would reach. And that's when I decided enough is enough. It's time to start seeing if I can change this. And I launched a live event that I used to help people in our industry. By that I mean the thought leaders and the nonprofit leaders and the people who had information that they wanted to share, how to not make the same mistakes that all the other seminar leaders had been making. And that's how that started. I did 10 of those events. And again, people who had attended those events reported that they were out there implementing the formulas, changing lives, and it was super exciting.
Wow.
And it's one of the ways that we deepened our relationship, because I came to your event this year as we record this in January in Orlando. If you ever get a chance, I know Wendy's got a massive new project she's doing. She may or may not be doing this live event again, but assuming she does, because I have a feeling the emotional heartstrings will have her do it, join in. It's probably it's easily the most actionable information in a 4-day event I've ever attended. And as you know, I've been to a bunch. So let's turn it over to you. I know you got some really key information you want to share, and then we'll ask some questions when we wrap up.
Okay, cool. So Tom and Sherry had asked me if I would talk with you guys about how to deliver more value, how to make sure that when you're in the world and helping people with your products and your services and your marketing, that you are in fact making the difference that you wanted to be making, and at the same time making the money that you wanted to be making. And we thought the fastest and easiest route for you would be if I would teach you about my Focus on Impact map. Now, we don't have time for me to teach you about all of it, but let me show it to you really quickly. It's everywhere online. This is the Focus on Impact map. And let me just check my thing here. Okay, so you should be able to see this. You'll see that the metaphor is actually quite real. All of us are taking a journey. And what we're looking to do is to bring our impact into the world and make thousands, millions, hundreds of millions, even billions of people better for the work that we've brought. and a big, big reward for us on the back end. So the metaphor is that there are only 10 cities that we ever have to visit to be able to fully bring our impact to the world. But each of these cities must be visited in order. One of the things that I'd really love for you to get into your head is that strategy requires sequence. And Tom and Sherry are great with strategy. Whatever they tell you, don't go out of sequence. You've got to do it in order. So the Focus on Impact map says that if we visit each of the 10 cities in order, we will reach millions and make millions and love our lives along the way. This isn't an empty promise. This is based on the research that I've done in the last 40 years, researching 1,000, actually well over 1,000 now, corporate healthcare, nonprofit and small business entities, and also thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs. And so what I'm going to do with you today is work entirely on the first 4 cities, because these 4 cities form the foundation of everything we do for people that ends up turning into the success that we want and delivers more value for them. So I'm going to walk you through these 4 cities really quickly, and then we'll talk about which are the ones that really you need to focus in on first, which is obviously city number 1. So city number 1 is the city of Define. And just quick, I'm going to run through these 4, then we're going to come back and focus on Define. City of Define tells us what the impact is that we're going to make in people's lives. The next city is the city of Discover. I believe that each of us is born to make a unique impact on this planet. And I believe life's greatest journey is discovering what that impact is and making it happen before it's too late and we miss our chance. We never know, right? So we've got to make it happen fast, efficiently. And that's why when Tom introduced me and he says that I'm an authority on business acceleration, this is the map that does it. All right. So now we've got what we want to do. We've got what we've got that's unique that will let us do this impact in the world. The next question is, how do we do that without spending our lives miserable? The answer is we visit the city of design, where we design our lifestyle before we get wealthy. In other words, what is the lifestyle that you want to live in order to make your impact and your millions? If you decide that in advance, there are strategies, techniques, and hardcore tactics that we can all use to live that life now. Maybe not as lavishly or abundantly as we will when we have more money in the bank, but right now the secret is, how do you want to live your life that will best match not only your brain wiring, but your family, your kids, your financial situation? How do you do that now? And use that to grow your impact faster. That's what you figure out in the city of design. And then the final of the 4 cities is the city of determine. I discovered the hard way, and maybe you've had this experience. If this is the next step in your journey and you've ever held a job or ever worked with people before this, or maybe you're experiencing it now, there are some people that I do not enjoy working with. And when I first discovered that, I wasn't particularly proud about that, but it's just the truth. I would speak at these conferences and these conventions, and I've done well over 1,000 speeches around the globe, and there were some places I would speak that I would get off the stage and I would go and spend time with those people, and I was bored to tears. I did not want to talk about what they were talking about. I wanted to know them personally, but I had no interest in spending time. There were some people that I met in all of the consulting and coaching and contracting that I did that I truly was embarrassed to hang out with. They weren't ethical. Their integrity was questionable. My comfort level around them was awful. And I would go and sit on the airplane on the way home and say, why am I spending time with these people? Story after story, I finally decided that one of the most important things we can do, and therefore the 4th city, is that we need to determine not who are the people who will buy our stuff, but who are the people that we want to play with? Who are the people that we most want to serve. And then we build marketing around that. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, thank you. So this is key, you guys. Why don't we stop and we can talk about some questions, Tom and Sherry, and then we can get into the city number one and really dive deep.
Yeah, I love the overall framework, and I like. I mean, Wendy follows the classic: tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them approach. But I think so many people forget that. Either maybe they're not taught it, maybe they just forget it, maybe they're lazy about it. But we're busy, we're doing things. Despite people's best efforts, they're multitasking or switch tasking, as it's really called, in the background. And so I think just on a macro level, because me, I'm always in it and on it at the same time, like you. On a macro level, I like how the fact you lay out the points, and then now we're going to drill down deeper on the points. So just thanks for that. Number one. Number two, my first question, I'll throw it to you, Sherry. My first question is, when you're looking at defining your impact, we've had many people talk about that all week long, right? Many of our speakers have shared it's important to start with that. It's important to start with that. It's important to start with that. Probably half of our speakers have talked about that. And yet probably 80% of the people listening are not doing that first. Yeah. So talk about the gap between people knowing how important that is to get clear and yet not always putting that into practice.
Yeah. Well, I'll be happy to do that. I'm going to go into detail in the next part of that, but here's the bottom line. Impact is a word that is used so many different ways that when we say define your impact, the first thing we think is, well, here's what I want to get done, or here's how I want to help people, or here's the difference I want to make. But we don't get it clear. We don't specify it. And the reason we don't do that is, quite frankly, because it's not taught. So when I published Focus on Impact, what you referred to earlier, the book Focus on Impact is specifically designed to help people do this. And it starts with a definition. Impact is the measurable difference we make in people's lives as the direct result of contact with you, your marketing, your message, your products, your services, your team. It's the measurable difference you make in people's lives as the result of every single thing you do and every single life you touch. And the key word in all of that is measurable. Mm-hmm. So the problem they have, Tom, that I see over and over again, is they don't think about, what can I measure? And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Great question.
Well, Wendy, I was thinking on the 4 steps of thinking about which one is the most important or valuable to you. And so as we drill down next in those, are the steps different for where you're at? Which one is the most valuable?
No. In fact, it's such a great question, Sherry. So this map is in fact the map that became a map as a result of the work that I was doing with all my clients. Wow. My first 35 years, these are the formulas and strategies and things that I was doing. And then when people started asking me, how did you do all of this? Will you teach it to me? I had to reverse engineer it. Wow. And I realized that in the beginning, I was just as, throwing spaghetti up on the wall as everybody else in the world. But over time, when I discovered what worked, because, hey, Geek Out kept track of it, then what happened was I discovered there's a pattern to all of this. And when you do the pattern consistently over and over again, it works in every industry from healthcare to hair care, and it doesn't matter where you are, from startup to a billion-dollar enterprise.
That's awesome. So it's the steps, like the step-by-step system. Follow the steps. Awesome. Okay, we're ready for you to drill deeper now.
All right. Thank you, guys. Let's talk about the city of Define. Again, because the city of Define is the first place we all go. And as Tom was mentioning earlier, it is key in terms of where you start, and evidently all of the other speakers you've heard say that as well. Now let's talk about specifically an impact strategy. How do you define your impact? We begin with clarity, remembering the definition, right? It has to be measurable. Now, this is crucial to your success. So what I'd like to do is talk with you about how to figure out what is the most important impact you're going to make, and what are all the other impacts you're going to make, and how are you going to measure them. It starts by choosing a problem. Now, if you're watching this, you may or may not have decided, what is the actual problem that I want to solve in the world? It could be a small problem that only affects, maybe thousands of people, or it could be a global problem that you want to find the solution to, or maybe you think you've already got it. So the question is, as you look out into the world, what are the problems that you see? Literally make a list of it. What are the problems that you see? Again, global, local. Now, they could be affecting billions, small groups. Figure that out. Figure out which one problem you're going to solve first. And it doesn't matter that there's other problems you want. You've got to figure out the one that touches your heart, the one that makes you cry, the one that every time you think about it, your heart starts just palpitating like crazy because it is so important to you that you fix that. Okay, good. Now, once you've got it, here's what you're going to do. I want you to imagine that I put you in a magic bubble and that you're going to float over the people who really need your help. You can't talk to them and they don't know you're there. And as you look down on these people, you're going to see them making things happen. You're going to see behaviors. You're going to see facial expressions, but you can't hear them. So what do you see? Write it down. What are they actually doing? Now, this may be in your imagination, or it may be that you've done the research. It may be that you've actually visited these people, visited with these people, whether it's around the globe or in your backyard. You know specifically what are the behaviors that you see. What are the things you see on their faces? Are they smiling? Or do you see tears running down? Do they look scared? Write it down. Now move your bubble lower so that you can actually hear them. What are the things they're talking about regarding their problems? How are they talking about their problems? Write it down. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step is to measure the scope of this problem. And thank goodness now we have search engines. In the old day, we actually had to get out and do qualitative research to figure this out. Now we can do some stalking. So what I want you to do for step 2 is stalk. Go out and find these people online. What are they talking about on their blogs? What are they talking about on social if they have access to the internet, depending on where you're looking to help people? I want you to find out the extent. How many people like this are there in the world? This is crucial. The more that you can figure out the statistics of your problem, the faster you're going to be able to figure out how to solve that problem in other cities. All right. So again, look at the problem, measure the scope of the problem. Now, step 3. Imagine that you are now back in the bubble and you've already solved the problem. They not only bought your stuff, they're using your stuff. Think about all the times you've bought something and it's still sitting on a shelf, right? So they bought your stuff and they're using it, and they're getting big results. Now you're going to go out and measure again. How have their behaviors changed? What are they doing now that they weren't doing before? And what have they stopped doing that they were doing before? How often are they looking happy? How often are they looking sad? How often are they looking scared? Lower your bubble. What do you hear? What do you see? Go online. Check it out. How have the blogs changed? How has their social posts changed? What do you see that's different? Write it down. All right, now, step number 4. You're going to compare your before and after. Compare your before and after. actually the words that you wrote and also the numbers, the statistics. The more you can grab percentages and statistics, the stronger you're going to be in getting it out there. If you decide to take this, make it work, and then turn it into a billion-dollar unicorn, you're going to need these statistics to be able to get the financial backing you need to make this happen. So therefore, what are the statistics? In other words, what's your before, what's your after, and what's the difference? Finally, in step 5, you've got to measure exactly how many people will use what you've done. How will you take this? There's a difference between how many people are in the world and how many people will actually use it. And you do that again by asking some questions, by putting yourself out there, by finding out what are the actual people you want to help, how will they use your stuff, will they use your stuff, and what is the difference you'll bring the world. That is the define piece. Now, using this define piece to figure out your impact is only the beginning of define. The second piece of define is making sure that what you bring them delivers value. So let me take a quick break and let's see what kind of questions we have from the peanut gallery, and then we'll come back in. Okay, Tom?
Nothing for me. I think it's crystal clear, makes sense, and I really like the format. It's the first time I've heard it done this way, and I love especially the imagery of floating up above, because I'll talk to people about being something you can film, something you can put in a camera. I'll even go old school because I'm such an old guy and do the old version of a camera. But but floating above and not being able to hear, I think is an even better metaphor, not even a metaphor, it's like a better imagery around seeing the impact. As you know, we work with the for-profit side and the business side, and we also have our what we call our six-figure woo-woo division. And it's the people in that division that have the most trouble describing this, and I think this will be really helpful. So no questions. Jerry?
For me, Wendy, since I've been doing trainings and couldn't wait, what you just laid out makes it very clear. It's a very great, easy roadmap, Wendy. And I now see my first question about which step has most value. I can see where the flow, you follow the map. I get it. Maybe
Right. Exactly. And to your point about woo-woo, Tom, we can use a quick example to show how this works in woo-woo. So why don't we take 2 seconds to do that, maybe a little longer than 2 seconds. I think you had a chance. Did you have a chance to meet Lorna DeMeo?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hers is a great example.
Yeah. So Lorna is one of the ones who came to me at one of my live events and cried to me about all of the money and time she had spent going from seminar to seminar with people telling her that she would not be able to make money doing what she wanted to do. Lorna is about as woo-woo as it gets. She is a shaman. She changes lives by downloading spirit and singing, and she creates customized, what she used to call songs, what we now call tonal matrix, where she brings together all the tones and the sounds that need to come in order to directly and customizedly, I just made a new word, change lives. And she had been doing that for individuals for a long time. She wanted to bring that into corporate, and she said, can I do that? And I said, well, I don't know, but if you're willing to do some research, I'm willing to help you. And that's how we met. Long story short, we created a process where she was able to do a pilot study, going to 3 different major companies and a minor in terms of size, and measuring how they would be affected, i.e. impacted, by her tonal matrices. And again, long story short, we measured the before and the after. We also measured the during to see how many actually did what we told them to do, Tom, right? So it's not just that they bought it, but that they used it. The statistics at the end were so amazing. Like 70-something% in terms of increase in sales, wellness, teamwork, it's on and on and on. Frankly, nobody was more surprised than Lorna. Because when you actually
I
see
love
the
it.
numbers, it blows your mind. And of course, now we're turning it into a major organization. So no matter where you are in your journey, right, Sherry, no matter how woo-woo, when you find a way to measure the before and after of the difference only you can bring, there's no stopping you.
I love it, Wendy. And Wendy and Tom both. I really want to put this out there. It's not woo-woo. I want to take that myth away that we're creating, because we're creating paradigm shifts. Look what's happening in America. 275 people a day are dying with opiates. A day. The prescriptions, the pharmaceuticals, they're not a bunch of druggies and junkies. So we've got to get that woo-woo, and we've got to change the paradigm and bring in the integrative medicine. We've got to change it. So we just have this, we have an inner circle, we have entrepreneurs that are come to us with, you might think woo-woo, their life journey. They're a veteran. They want to help other veterans. They're an acupuncturist. They want to be able to show the world a different way of feeling. There's no such thing as anything that's woo-woo or too far off. Guys, we've got to change our paradigms. And I'm telling you, we just worked with a group that seemed woo-woo. And then the reason I'm loving this, because we've been talking about how to change that myth from it being woo-woo. She's a doctor in education. She wanted to bring a whole new way of training for our kids and bringing the music and arts back. And it was like woo-woo because she was the geek that wanted to do all this surveys and everything. But what we did, they spent our tax dollars, $10 million, to build a new juvenile justice center right downtown, a jail to teach our kids how to be criminals. And she had a nonprofit. We were able to get them to redirect funding and take $1 million and fund her so we could start seeing the results in the kids' lives. So I just have to say, I love what you're talking about. The woo-woo, that's what we need to change renewable energy, change suicide, change our opioid crisis. Think about it. People have solutions. All of you on this summit right now, that's what the summit's about. Bring your talents. Listen, Wendy is teaching the impact. And Wendy, to add on to that, I wanted to ask you a question. What we find out is we do the impact. You come to us with a passion. We had a farmer's wife from Nebraska that was we ended up building the biggest financial literacy program in the community center. But Wendy, when you work with folks and now go through this roadmap, where does the social significance, how we have that conversation with people that have made that $10 million on their business and have all the mansions, but they have said the social significance and the fulfillment is like nothing they've ever experienced when they're making impact. So I'd love to throw it to you, and what's your experience, and share with the group, because you're the leader of an impact. Give us some of the benefits.
Oh,
I know.
Benefits. Are you crazy? Okay, let's go.
That's summit number 14, Wendy and Sherry sending the benefits of social impact. Tune in at 19.
The benefits, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it, Wendy.
So here's the most important thing.
Okay.
The benefits of your unique impact are defined by the problems you saw and how those people's lives are changed. So, because there are billions of people alive in the world, there are billions of benefits, because benefits depend on how we perceive our lives. And that doesn't count the benefits to you for having brought it to them in the first place, which is way more than money.
Yep.
Money is your ticket to get what it is that you wanted in the first place. right? So it's way more than money. I mean, we all have our own way to say it. For me, it's focus on impact. When you focus on impact, that's when the money comes. I've proved it with research, blah, blah, blah. There are others who say, it's, just don't worry, whatever the money, it doesn't matter how you talk about it. All of us agree that money is the ticket that buys you whatever it is you want for your life. And for some people, what that is to be able to make more impact. It certainly is for me, right? I'm in the middle of $1 billion capital raise. That money's not going to come to me. That money is going to go to what we're getting ready to do. The nonprofit organizations that need the money to do what they do, right? At the end of the day, it's not the money. It's what you do with your money, and the benefits are very personal to every person whose life you touch and the generations that will be affected because of the impact that you made in one person's life. It's just that.
Awesome.
So,
well,
Wendy,
you're giving us so much. So what would you say the most important thing to implement today to get us on that path of the folks that want to go out and make the major impact? What's the first step we could take today?
Okay, great question. The first step you can do is finish the City of Define, because the other half of the City of Define is figuring out what's in it for you to do it. Mm-hmm. Making your impact on the Focus on Impact map or on any strategy takes work. Even when you figure out how to do that work in a way that fits your lifestyle, in a way that lets you love your life, it's still work. And so the question is, what will make you do it? Well, if you're really driven and you really want to make your impact and you really want to get it out there, then what you may be thinking right now is what I was always thinking, which was, I don't care what it takes. This is my lifeblood. This is what I want to do. Or I don't care what it takes. I got to make some money. I have to do this. Whatever. There's a conversation in your head. There is truth to the fact that as difference makers, we can't afford to be exhausted. We can't afford to quit, because if we do you know how many people's lives will not change? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just a reality here. As you watch this, I need you to understand there are billions of people who are online searching for some kind of help. They wouldn't be searching if they had already found it. So I believe very, very strongly that the reason so many people are searching is because each and every one of us needs to hear what we need in a way that will fit for us. It's like my grandmother used to say, there's a lid for every pot, right? Yeah. So there's a difference maker for every pain. And the question is, how are you the one for that person? Well, you can't quit when it gets hard. You can't quit when you fail, and you will, because it's experimental, especially if you're doing something unique and new, which you are, because nobody has ever done it the way you can do it. So the secret then is to walk through the action formula, which, Tom, you know the action formula well. I've thrown it at you bajillions of times. Mm-hmm. The action formula is 3 simple steps. And when you use the action formula, not only will it keep you motivated, it will help you at the times when you honestly don't know what to do. So I'm going to take a quick second and teach it to you right now. Okay. The action formula says there are only 3 things we ever need in order to take effective action. It doesn't tell us which action to take. It only tells us how to keep going no matter what. The first piece that we need is we need desire. And everybody talks about, you really have to want to do it. You have to know your why. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is way more than that. I'm talking about what will you get internally and externally as a result of success. If you woke up tomorrow morning and magically, without having to do anything at all, you had made the impact that you were born to bring in the world, on every life that you wanted to touch. If you had done that, how would your life be different? What would you be doing that you can't do now? And what could you stop doing that you have to do way too much of now? What would you get to feel that you don't get to feel enough of now? And what could you stop feeling that you feel way too much of right now?
Yeah.
Amen, sister. Preach, preach.
Amen.
That you've always wanted to be? And what could you stop being that you really hate being? How would your life be different? When you figure that out, then ask yourself another question. Okay, if that's how my life would be different, what would that get for me? And when you figure that out, go again. Okay, well, what would that get for me? And what would that get for me? And what would that get for me? And keep going. Keep going, because you're going to discover things that would ripple as a result of your impact, things that you can't possibly see right now until you think it through. And when you think through all the ripples of your impact for other people, but you don't think about the ripples for yourself, that's why you get tired. There's only one reason for us to ever get tired. It's because we didn't sleep enough or eat right. Otherwise, there's no reason for us to get tired if we know our ripples of impact. All right, so that's desire. The second piece is resources. It's one thing to really want something and know exactly what you're going to get as a result of your impact. It's another thing to be able to do it. When I say resources, most people think that means money, and it does, but money isn't the only resource, and this is why so many people fail. They don't think through what are all the resources. What is the team you're going to need to help you do that? You're looking at two people, Tom and Sherry, who have spent their lives helping people. If they're not on your team, you're probably doing something wrong, all right? So who do you need in your life? Family, friends, certainly assistance of some kind as soon as you get your impact to a place where you can afford to. Don't make the mistake, and I mean this seriously, don't make this mistake of making business decisions based on what you don't have the money to do. Mm-hmm. How are you going to get the resources into your life? So money, team, health. Oh my gosh, it's really hard to make an impact when you've got a headache. Get yourself healthy. Time. People say, oh, I don't have time. You know, I have 3 kids and I have a husband and I have PTA and I have all these. Okay, so let's just get real about one thing. We all get 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So now it's about priorities, and priorities come from your desire. So when we think we don't have time, we have to ask ourselves, what's in it for me to not do this? And what's in it for me to do this? And what will that get for me? And what will that get for me? Because, ladies and gentlemen, here's the bottom line. As difference makers, we put everybody else before us, and we don't think about what's in it for us. And you've got to, or there will come a time when it will just burn you out. World Health.
Amen, Wendy. That's what this summit's about, living in abundance so you can go out and make the impact. And I love what you guys, everyone, when Wendy's saying, how will this benefit me? What's this with me? You guys, we got to take care of us. It's just like the airplane. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And so many visionaries, people with incredible wisdom are tired. They have no money. Many of the nonprofit leaders, global, it's like scarcity. Oh my gosh, we can't. So what Wendy's teaching is what we want to bring out to the world. It's about abundance. Take care of you so that you can reach way more others. And Wendy, something you said really struck what my journey. When you find your purpose, when you really want your life's journey. We just did an interview with Jim Padilla, who took his life's journey and wove it into his beautiful business and the analogies. And so when we all to go to change people's lives and impact. What I didn't know when we built our disability movement is how healing it would be for us. We didn't set out to do that because that is such a huge benefit as you're seeing people's lives change and you're taking your journey for purpose. It's the most fulfilling, healing part of my journey. So thank you. I mean, that's big what she said. Take care of you guys.
You bet. So again, desire, what everything will get for you. Resources, again, time, money, health, team, skills. Can't do it if we don't know how, right?
Yeah.
Tools, especially in today's world. What are the tools we need to make things happen? Figure all that out in advance, even if you don't have the money or the time or the ability to go and get these things. If you have it on your list, you know when you do start bringing the money in, how do I spend it here? How do I spend it here? How do I spend it here? The tools do you no good if you don't have the skills, right? So all of these different pieces come together. And finally, there is the third piece of the action formula. Just because we want something, and just because we're able to do it, doesn't mean we will. Let's face it, there are plenty of people in the world who want to lose weight and plenty of diets. So why are there people who are overweight? Because of the third piece. The third piece is permission. If you had any idea how many people stop themselves from letting themselves have what they truly want, it would blow your mind. Wow. The simple truth is every entrepreneur has at least one hidden success barrier. It's something inside us that makes us block ourselves from letting ourselves make that impact, bring it into the world, take the rewards, and enjoy them fully. So the question is, what do you need so that you'll be able to break through your permission? And the answer is identify your hidden success barriers and break through them. It's not enough to know what's there. We need to change internally before we can expect the world to change. Yeah. So when you bring your impact into the world, make sure there's nothing blocking you, or you will inadvertently get other people not to let you help them. So the action formula, desire plus resources plus permission. That's where you get the impact. It's how you'll get the most value for you in following all of the things you've heard over the last 8 days, in implementing all of the things that are right for you. And when you watch all these videos and you say, okay, that was good. What's next? What new shiny object is in my box?
Yeah.
Just remember, okay? If you're continually working only on your skills and not on all of the other pieces of resources, desire, and permission, then the odds of you getting everything you want and bringing your impact into the world as fully as you could won't be as big as you could do. And frankly, that would be a crime for you and definitely for humanity.
Yeah, very much. I modified your formula. I haven't told you this. It's only 40 years of research. You know, I modified it. I put a multiplier on the last one.
Yeah.
Because to me, my observation, as you know, working with hundreds and hundreds of startups, is that actually is the barrier to getting through that 0 to first 100,000 range. As much as anything is so much rests on the story we're telling ourselves and the game we're playing or not playing or whatever is happening up between, you know, the 8 inches between each ear. And so for me, it's a multiplier. I modified it from a plus to an X every time I write it out because it's so powerful. I love this. Hey, Sherry.
Oh man, what a great way to wrap up, you guys. She gave you a roadmap. No more in the industry, 95% of things never get acted on. 5% of the people take the action. Wendy's giving you the roadmap, no more. You've got 8 days with the top in the world. I mean, we've had, my mind is blown. I tell Tom I can't sleep at night because it's so energized with all this wisdom. Wendy's bringing all that together for us and now giving you that roadmap, the formula where you can implement and bring the most impact you could ever imagine. So Wendy, what a great way to bring it all together. And we have so much gratitude for you just opening and sharing everything. So Wendy, can you tell everyone about your gift? So we want people to engage with you. We want people to get that roadmap and get involved with you.
Absolutely, Sherry. Thank you so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a way for you to think about your impact. And the more that you think about it, the more you'll be driven to do it, the more you'll be motivated to do it, and the more you'll know how to do it. And all of that happens in a community of difference makers who have all agreed that their impact is super important to them. And if that's you, all you got to do is go to theactionmovement.com. There's a link at the bottom of this video. Just look down the page and you'll find it, theactionmovement.com. And what that is a lead generation page, right? So the first thing I want you to do is read the manifesto on the page. It will tell you what it's all about. If that's you, then watch the video at the top of the page. Watch it to the end. There is nothing being sold but a mission. The mission is to help as many difference makers as we can finally make the impact you were born to make. When you opt in on that page, you will then get a series of 3 more videos. Again, nothing being sold in any of the videos. It's all designed to help you gradually shift your thinking to know exactly how you'll stop yourself. What is it that you're going to do to bring your impact into the world, and who desperately needs your help? So please go to the Action Movement, join us, because the impact we make together will be far greater than any we'll ever make alone.
Oh, Wendy, that's awesome.
You think she shared that before, Sherry? I love the timing, the tempo, the meaning, the chills that come from that. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Wendy. I know we went extra and we put in some extra elements. You'll also get, correct me if I'm wrong, right? If I recall those videos, the formula you've been covering, the gaps will be filled in there too, right?
Some of them, yes. You don't get the full map, but what I have done is included a gift with something else that you're going to share later on that I think will take care of that problem.
Lovely, 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 lovely.
Wow.
So,
Again, I said
please.
gratitude, Wendy. Look at the gift she's given. Tom, that's going to bring it all together. We want you guys to keep involved with us. We want to hear all the implementation and impact that's happening.
Absolutely. Tom and Sherry, thank you so much for what you've done this week. This is just really huge. And I think that the impact that you're going to make is going to far surpass the impact you've already made. And that's saying a lot. So thank you.
You're most welcome, Wendy. On behalf of Sherry, Wendy, and I, thanks for tuning in to day 8 of the Do Good and Make Money Super Summit. For those of you that are auditing other tracks, there's still some more to come. There's a keynote speaker, much more today. But having said that, I just want to say what an incredible way to give the perspective for those of you that are in startup mode of the strategy required to over-deliver. That's what today's about. It's how do you over-deliver, not how do you under-promise and then deliver on what you under-promise so that anybody can do it. We're talking about making massive impact in the world. So thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Sherry. And on behalf of all of us at the summit, thanks for being here. Thanks for playing full on, and we'll see you in the next interview.